major story that broke while we're gone, documents that prove that the Office of Attorney General in Washington state was colluding with Democratic lawmakers to undermine the state constitution. This segment is brought to you in partnership with our friends at Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org. Make sure you sign up for their newsletter. They also have a new handy offshoot where they are tracking news specific to the income tax and debunking things. It's really cool. So check out their website. All right, this exclusive was from the Center Square. Records reveal Washington millionaire's tax is meant to legalize progressive income tax. And I think we all knew that that's the goal of Democrats in pushing this, is going to start with a millionaire's tax so they can sell it to the populace as tax the rich, eat the rich, and then come back a couple years later and say, well, now that it withstood a constitutional challenge, we're just going to have an income tax on everyone because that's what we really want. So the Center Square did a public records request for communications between legislative leaders pushing the tax and the Office of State Attorney General Nick Brown. It says the Washington Attorney General and Democratic leaders plotted how to overturn a nearly century-old decision that bans income taxes in the state, writing they want to force the state Supreme Court to reconsider its 1933 decision. Nearly 1,000 pages of public records obtained by the Center Square show. In one email, Senate Majority Leader Jamie Peterson said, I would like to force the Washington Supreme Court to reconsider its case law that considers income to be property. And he's the chief architect. So they obtained 988 pages of records. They included communication between Washington State Attorney General's office leadership and staff and state legislators. And it's basically Jamie Peterson. It starts with him saying to the AG's office, hey, I really want to overturn 100 years of court precedent and be able to tax income as property. And so there's emails back and forth in this between the AG's office and Jamie Peterson and Democrats, where the AG's office is basically giving advice on how to craft this particular piece of legislation to achieve their goal of allowing for an income tax in Washington state, which, as you know, our state constitution for 100 years has basically said that income is property. I mean, that's what the precedent says. So we can only have, for taxes on property, it must be uniform and only at 1%. And then there was the 1933 state Supreme Court decision that said, yes, income is considered property because the state constitution says all things tangible and intangible. So yeah, I mean, if I have $100 in my wallet, whose property is it? It's my property. So it's just this insane thing for them to try to get a court to overturn all this precedent and say, it's not your property. It's who knows? Who knows whose property it is? But I got to say, one of the most startling emails to me, because let me say, it is common for the AG's office to give advice on laws and how laws are crafted, but they're supposed to give advice to make the laws legal. Okay? That's the advice they're supposed to give. But here's the advice from Noah Purcell. So remember Noah Purcell? He was the Solicitor General under Bob Ferguson. So one of the higher ups at the Attorney General's office under Bob Ferguson. And he became this star boy over one of his lawsuits against the Trump administration at the time. And then he went on to run for Attorney General, but dropped out of the race when Nick Brown decided to run for Attorney General. So this is an email from Noah Purcell to Senator Jamie Peterson. And he's giving all this feedback on the bill that they're putting together. This is the most egregious one. It says, last but not least, unless I missed it, I did not see an emergency clause. Without one, someone could try to subject the bill to a referendum. So this is the Attorney General's office telling Senator Peterson to put an emergency clause on the bill so voters can't run a referendum on it. This is the Attorney General's office very blatantly colluding with Democrats to try to stop you from having a say. And your right to referendum is guaranteed under the state constitution. So you have the office of the state's chief law enforcer who took an oath to defend and uphold the constitutions of the United States and the state of Washington, actively trying to undermine the Constitution of the state of Washington. It's criminal. It should be enough to get them removed from office. Nick Brown had a press conference this morning about some other dumb thing he's doing, and he was asked about these allegations that his office was colluding with the Democrats to undermine the state constitution.
It is very common for AG's offices to advise their clients on the law, the status of cases, analyzing prior Supreme Court decisions. It is something that we do on a regular basis. It is something that all of my predecessors have done. So yes, I think it's pretty common and appropriate.
Doesn't make it right. Oh, we do it all the time. All the time? What other bills have you sought to help Democrats craft to undermine the state constitution? Because I'd like a list if you're doing it all the time, and it's pretty common. I mean, I don't doubt that. But it's supposed to be the job of the AG's office to make sure the bills are legally sound, to make sure the bills follow the state constitution, the federal constitution. But think of how many bills they push through that don't. I mean, most bills that they pass on 2A issues, they just helped him pass a bill that dramatically expands the power of the Attorney General's office to essentially issue these civil investigative demands where Nick Brown can say, I think that Brandy Cruz is violating the Constitution, so I'd like to basically serve a search warrant on her that a judge never has to sign off on. It's insane. They're violating the Constitution on a monthly basis down in Olympia during the session. And this just proves, I think, what we all expected, which is the AG's office. And this is one of the things that's so weird to me about the AG's office. This is an independently elected official. Who do they actually work for? Because as an independently elected official, they should work for the people of Washington State. But they're also the attorney for the state of Washington, for state lawmakers, for the governor's office. You can't do both. You can't work for the state legislature and advise them and also work for the people of Washington State, especially when the state legislature is working against us. So the Office of Attorney General to me makes no sense. If you're going to work and be a mouthpiece and a lawyer for the politicians and for the governor, then you should be appointed. Then the governor should just pick the Attorney General. Because de facto, that seems to be what the position is. It's insane. We're going to have some more follow-ups on this coming up tomorrow. That segment is brought to you in partnership with our friends at Future 42. Turn your frustration into action at future42.org. Make sure you sign up for their newsletter to be alerted to opportunities to do just that.